Hello, avid readers, book nerds, and casual observers. Welcome to the read-along brought to you by the Lit Round Table. I'm Joseph.
And I'm Anna, and this is our read-along of Tress of the Emerald Sea by Brandon Sanderson.
Welcome to week 4, part 4 of Tress of the Emerald Sea.
This is going to be the last time we really get to do that.
I know.
Because next, for part 5, we're going to split it up because it's long. Part 4 was also long, but...
Part 5 is like 100 pages.
Yes, so... let's do our chapter titles here quick. We've got 22, The Idiot. 23, The Assistant Cannon Master. That chapter was funny. 24, The Cursed Man. 25, The Prey. 26, The Sharpshooter. 27, The Spore Eater. Fascinating. 28, The Extra Good Listener. 29, The Familiar. 30, The King's Mask. 31, The Midnight Essence. 32, The Liberator. 33, The Liar. And 34, The Tosher.
The Tosher.
Gosh.
Could you imagine loving baked potatoes as much as that guy?
No. And I like baked potatoes, but...
Baked potatoes.
Sorry. Tired.
Yeah.
Baked potatoes, but not that much.
Man, a lot of ground to cover. Big chunk.
Yeah.
Lots of progression. Yeah. So the first chapter was what? It was The Idiot?
Yeah. Which is Hoid.
Yeah.
Hoid is the idiot.
And he's also the cursed man in that chapter.
Yes, he is. He is. Okay, so what do we need to know about Hoid now?
So, we do learn a little bit more about how he was cursed by the sorceress.
Yes.
We don't know, like, why or, like, the particulars, but we know that's what happened to him, and
we also know that it's probably a key to unlocking some other things. At least that's how I'm interpreting it.
Like, we need his curse to be lifted so that we can...
So that he can tell us what's up.
Yes.
And the Captain Crow also seems to be aware of that because she paid a lot of money to have him be on her ship as the cabin boy.
Yeah.
Which is interesting.
So she's aware that the sorceress had something to do with that. I thought, like, also Hoid is able to, like, he has, like, moments of clarity where he can kind of punch through a little bit
but
and
it still
give
is
really
kind of nonsense.
really cryptic clues and advice in those moments, but for the most part he's just trying to strain pasta through dirty socks. He's just a complete imbecile. Man.
Very funny. Some great comic relief along the way.
Very funny. Oh, man.
I do want to talk about Annie, the assistant cannon master.
Oh, Anne, I love her.
Yeah, she got the job without ever having shot a rifle, but she is obsessed with using firearms, and she's terrible.
Like, to the point that nobody lets her touch a firearm. Like, they're constantly confiscating, like, pistols off of her and telling her, no, you can't shoot the cannon. But she is just unrelenting. She's like, can I fire the first shot? No. Because she, like, almost kills her fellow Dougs if she does. That's very funny.
Yeah. Man, I really want to talk about the spore eater part, but I feel like there's just so much in this section.
I guess let's just talk about the overarching, like, the scheme and how it's developing. Like Tress's mission to get to the Midnight Sea to get Charlie from the sorceress. So, like, she has figured out in this section that step 1, get to the Crimson Sea, because she can't get to the Midnight Sea without sailing through that. she has this moment of realizing that, oh, the captain knows about Hoid and the sorceress. Oh, maybe she's trying to get to the Midnight Sea too. But then I loved the part in the book where Hoid, the storyteller, is like, and then she had the most monumental moment that she's had in this entire tale, and it sets her apart from all other heroes, and that is when she thought, I shouldn't jump to conclusions. I need more information.
Yes. Absolutely.
I loved that so
Yes.
much.
Yes. She's a very wise main character in that way. She also discovers, well, she witnesses something very strange happen with the captain. And then when she talks to, does she talk to Ford or Oolong about it? I can't remember. But they're basically like, oh yeah, we all know that. This is what's up with the captain. This is her deal.
Oh, Oolong is the one that like explains what
Okay.
a spore eater is.
Yeah.
But like everyone knows, like Fort knows, everyone knows about it, and that's why she has the crew under her thumb. But the reason is that she can just like shoot herself with a pistol and live with like creepy vines that grow out of her skin to like catch the bullet, apparently, which is so metal. Like that is just
Yeah.
so crazy.
That's what Tress witnessed. That was the
Yeah, she's
craziness.
like she's got this weird like parasitic symbiotic relationship the with the spores, with like the ether, what they call it.
Yeah. We also got an explanation about the moons in this part.
Yes, where the spores come from. And each moon has its own like elemental kind of force, like this ether,
Creature thing.
which Hoid says every planet technically has, but this planet there's just like they're really like out of whack and like voracious.
Overgrown. They're overgrown,
Yeah.
basically.
And the spores drift to the planet, and when they come in contact with water, something in like the spirit realm, like something causes them to like explode with energy and life, and that's why they freak out with water and do crazy stuff. Which, if you've read The Way of Kings, you know something about like the spirit realm and where that is and what that is. And it's man, there's so many interconnections.
I see.
Man. Yeah, so we learn more about the spores. So the whole thing with the captain, she wants to go, she's trying to get the crew to sail with her to the Crimson Sea because there's a dragon. This is a story with a dragon in it.
Living under the sea.
I will not sing a copyrighted song.
Yes. No, do not. Do not.
Under the sea. Under the sea is where the dragon lives, and it'll like grant you wishes if you trade with it. So yeah, so Tress is like, oh, so you don't want to go to the Midnight Sea, you're trying to go to the Crimson Sea. So it's good that I didn't assume.
Which she also found out because she used a midnight spore,
Yes,
which created like a little shadow creature.
that was so creepy to
That
listen
she
to
was-
in the audiobook.
Yes. Which she was. Like the best
Yeah.
I could think of was this is very similar to like George R. R. Martin's warging characters that can like go into animals, except that this is a shadow goo, black goo,
Yeah.
not rat.
And the
As
goo
it
kind
was
of has a mind of its own, and it kind of like bleeds into her thoughts because it talks about like wanting to bite people and like eat people, and she is trying to like regain control of herself and like, no, flip the pages, read the words, and the goo is like, oh, words, gross, and she's like, no, read the words.
That was so funny.
Yeah,
She got to the book and it was full of words, words, words.
so dumb. Who cares about words?
Yeah.
Yeah, very amusing, very funny, very witty.
And scary. Yeah.
But man, so learning, yeah, so she's able to like spy on the captain, figure out what her deal is, and now she's kind of trying to manipulate that to get the captain to sail her to the Crimson Sea, so that way she's at least closer to the Midnight Sea, where she can find and rescue Charlie, in theory.
Huck is also revealed to be a familiar of the sorceress, maybe?
Related to familiars of the sorceress, at least.
Right.
Yeah. and that's why he can talk. It's magical.
Yeah.
There was a moment where they call magic investiture, which is a thing in this universe, which was another moment of like, whoa, that was from Stormlight. But I guess that's just like interchangeable with magic, really.
Okay. Interesting.
Yeah. What does Hoid call himself? He calls himself like a world bringer or something, which is a term I actually haven't heard yet. But I think that's just another word for like a world hopper. Like he hops around, he gets around.
Interesting.
And Ulam. Oh, Ulam tells Tress that he's an alien, basically. And she's like, huh?
Yeah.
What do you mean?
There was some part where he was like, he said something and she was like, well, you're alive. And he was like, but how do you know? And she's like, well, because you're
talking to me and you're walking.
And he's like, good signs, but not necessarily.
Yeah, not necessarily proof.
It's like, oh my gosh, creepy. Yeah.
So they're on their way to the Crimson Sea. So Soleil and Fort and Anne are all like convinced that Tress is this thing called a King's Mask, which is like a super spy, this like espionage experts like master manipulator spy person. They're like, that's the only explanation for all the things that she's done. She's like, no guys, I don't know what I'm doing. I'm just lucky.
Yeah. And Huck is like, yeah, they're just not used to, they're very, like, Soleil is very smart, but she's just not used to anyone being as genuine as you. So.
Yeah. She sees it as a deception.
Underlying
yeah
thing happening here. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm looking at the chapter titles here.
Yeah.
Okay, so they see Tress as the liberator. She's gonna be the one that gets them free now. But then she's also seeing herself as the liar, because when she's talking to the captain, she's having to lie a whole bunch. And there was that commentary about how she's okay with lying to the captain because, like, if you've got a tiger gnawing on your leg, like, even if you're not violent, like, whatever, that gets thrown out the window if there's a tiger gnawing on your leg.
Like, it's not socially acceptable to punch people, but you can punch the tiger gnawing on your leg, so which is why she thinks it's okay to lie to the captain.
Right.
Yeah. Funny.
So, that was interesting.
She also made the connection that the captain, so, like, she learns from Ulam that the dragon doesn't just, like, grant wishes, he makes deals. They've heard of the dragon as a he, right?
I think so.
I thought so. Just to be safe. They don't grant wishes. They do trades. And what does the dragon want the most? Like, slaves to do its bidding. So Tress puts together that the reason why the captain is so interested in her, like, staying on the ship and her not being as afraid of spores as other people is because she's going to have Tress go with her down into the dragon's lair and trade her as a slave to the dragon so that she can cure herself of her affliction, because apparently being a spore eater is a bit of a death sentence. So.
Yeah.
And I had the thought, I was like, what if, like, so this is what it looks like when someone is infected with, like, the Emerald Sea spore things, with, like, the vines and whatever. But, like, I guess there can be, like, a spore eater of other seas, too. So, like,
Yeah.
in my mind, I was like, what if the sorceress is, like, a spore eater of the Midnight Sea?
Ooh.
And what kind of crazy, wacky stuff would she be able to do? Because those midnight spores are weird. Like, you know?
Yeah. Ooh, good thought.
Yeah.
Good thought. I guess we'll find out.
Yeah, I'm curious. I'm so curious about the sorceress. I know, I feel like we're going in sequence. Like first there's going to be the dragon bit, and then there's going to be the sorcerer's bit. So we got to get to the dragon first. I'm also very curious about the dragon.
I'm curious if it's an actual dragon.
Same. Like, is it going to be a like Tolkien dragon, or is it going to be like a Wheel of Time dragon, where it's more of like a weird title thing, and it's just a dude, you know,
Yeah.
like a magical, powerful dude. Maybe the dragon, maybe it's like D&D, and the dragons can like shape change into people, have a human form, and then their dragon form. I feel like I might not be right because I haven't read every book in the Cosmere, but this might be the first instance of a dragon in the Cosmere universe.
Really?
Yeah, which is cool. Because he's like mentioned in like interviews and stuff, the dragons exist, we just haven't met any yet. And I think this is going to be the first time that a dragon is introduced in the universe, and I'm very excited.
That's cool. That's very cool. There's also, Tress's world view is blown up a little bit because someone mentions to her about was it Huck or Hoid? About the royal marathon that's 40 miles long.
It was
she's
Huck.
like,
yeah.
She's like, what? They just run around the island however many times? And he's like, oh, there are places much bigger than just your little island. And she's like, what?
There's islands that are 40 miles wide. Some that are even bigger.
Yeah.
If you stood in the middle, you wouldn't be able to see the sea. She's like so flabbergasted.
Yeah. Yeah.
Man, so funny.
It was a good reminder at how small her world has been up until this point.
For sure.
A very clever way to remind us of that as well. Okay, so the last chapter was a lot of talk about number 2.
Yes, there was many a poop joke in this chapter.
Yes. And I just was like, this is okay. This whole story is so whimsical and fun. And like, but this chapter, I was like, I'm so grossed out right now, Brando Zando. Why is there a poop story in the middle of this?
And then I was like, oh yeah, he wrote this for his wife. And this is like such a husband move to like write a book for your wife and then just inject this horrific poop-filled comedy story just as like now that I have you hooked and and you're really enjoying yourself.
Yeah.
Toilet humor. That's just such a...
And we're going to make it a parable.
Yes. So
gosh.
silly.
Gosh. Yeah.
Man. So I guess what do we learn at the very end after the parable story? She's just like dedicated to this whole... Is that when she figures out that she's going to be an offering to the dragon? It might be.
It might be.
So she's just kind of set on this. We're sailing to the Crimson Sea. She convinced the captain to sail them there. Said the crew is down with it because the whole thing with the crew is they want to go there because there's less ships for the captain to try to sink.
Right.
Yeah. Oh, we did get that crazy moment where the captain was like an expert sniper and just like popping people on the enemy ship from like however far away. I was like, oh, you're dangerous. Like I knew you were dangerous, but you're like very competently dangerous. Like,
yeah. Yes. You have
like
a certain set of skills.
Like Tress has outsmarted you so far, but like Tress has said, she's just been lucky. And man, if you mess with Captain Crow, ooh.
Which Soleil stood up to her. Okay, so the captain obviously wanted to sink that other ship.
And kill everyone, yeah.
But Tress had swapped out the cannonballs with just run-of-the-mill cannonballs. And so they ended up just anchoring the ship in place instead of destroying it. And then the captain was going to order them to kill everyone on board. And Soleil stands up and is like, I'm the... oh my gosh, I'm drawing a blank.
The helmsman.
Thank you, the helmsman. I was going to say shipwright, and I was like, not shipwright. It's a different pirate's term.
That would be more like Anne.
Right.
In Fort.
Right. I'm the helmsman, and so I get to call the shot here, basically, which, wild.
Mm-hmm. And the whole reason why the captain wanted to kill everyone even after they surrendered was because they shot up the flare for surrender, but then the sea was calmed, so like nobody was moving, and then the other ship was like, oh, and then started shooting at them again, and that's when the captain went total Rambo mode and just started popping people from the deck of her ship with a musket, which even Hoid was like, that was some of the most impressive shooting I've ever seen. And you know that means something coming from him. He's like, especially since primitive muskets handle like an electrocuted snake. Like, man, just
Yes.
the terms that he uses are so funny.
Yes.
Yeah,
I am just thoroughly enjoying this story.
Whimsy. The whimsy of it all. Well, yeah, so I'm excited about this next part. I think the next part is going to be dragony.
I think so too. So, for next week, your reading assignments are chapter 35 through 43.
35 to 43.
Which is about half of part 5.
Cool. Very pumped.
It's going to be great.
Well, I guess anything else you want to add for this part?
I don't think so.
All right. Well, until next time, happy reading.
And we'll talk to you next time.
Later.
Bye.
I almost said bye. Bye.